Hi everyone, welcome to Great Glen Yoga. My name's Rachel and today I'm going to take you through a really nice gentle flexibility practice. So all of the poses that we're going to do are going to be seated or in a reclined position. We're going to spend a little bit of time in each pose, but we're not extending it for quite as long as we would in, for example, a yin practice, but just giving ourselves time to sit in stillness in the poses that we go through in this practice for a little bit of time. Have some props around if you want them. I'm not probably going to use any props during this practice, but definitely if you've got any blocks, bolsters, pillows, anything around, just as usual, have them to hand if you feel that you might need them. So it's going to be a practice that's really going to work on our flexibility. So some of the poses might be a little bit more intermediate in nature. So again, if you feel that the props or any of the modifications I suggest would be helpful for you, please go ahead and use them. So to begin, we're just going to sit in a cross-legged position and just spend a bit of time just settling into this practice and settling into this moment together. So you can just close down the eyes and take your attention inwards and just start to work on your breathing. So we're going to be spending, as I say, a little bit of time in our poses today, not too long, but a little bit of time. So the emphasis, as always, is on really making the most of our breath, helping the breath to give us that greater level of relaxation and stillness in the poses. So just starting to slow the breathing down, nice steady rhythm. Palms can just be settled just lightly on the knees. And the practice today is going to work into a few different parts of the body. So we're going to do some work on the hips, the glutes, into the hamstrings, a little bit into the lower back and also into the side body as well. So let's open up the eyes. And we're going to begin in square pose with our legs, so also known as fire log pose. We're going to have the right leg sitting onto the ground, take the left leg over the top of the right, and what you're aiming for is for the left ankle to be sitting just on top of the right knee, and for your left knee to be just over the top of the right ankle, and play around with it a little bit to get your own version of this and where the feet and the knees go comfortably. And this is probably one of the opportunities in this practice where you might want to use some props. So if you've got a couple of blocks around, or even just, a couple of big heavy books or anything, they might help you with the knee positions on this particular pose. So if you find that you've got quite a gap between your right knee and the ground, just prop that up with a block or a book. And exactly the same on the left knee as well. If there's a big gap between, you can just have those two blocks there just to steady yourself, just to give yourself that little bit of additional space that you might need in this pose. Or the alternative is, as we stay in this pose for a little bit of time, you'll just inevitably find that the legs will become closer together. I'm doing this pose and this practice in the morning, and it definitely will feel probably a little bit different doing it in the morning to if you were doing this practice later in the day, where you might just be that little bit more supple. You might have done a little bit more in the way of movement. So just see how you feel, see how it works for you. But as long as you can get your legs into as close an approximation of this shape as you can, that's perfect. We're just going to just stay a moment just to see how that feels, just to give our bodies time to just get used to that feeling. Particularly what you'll probably find in this pose is that you'll start to feel a little bit of a stretch in both hips probably, and really starting to go into maybe the left glute there as well. Some sensation possibly in the knees as well. So just keep an eye on the knees if you do have any kind of issues or any niggles in the knee area. So once we're kind of happy and settled with where the legs are, we're going to come into a couple of side bends here. So take the left hand down beside you on the mat, and then we're just going to stretch the right arm up and over, and you can bend into that left elbow just to give yourself a little bit more space as we're coming into this lovely side body stretch. And you can just relax the head, really stretch those right fingertips up and over, and you'll feel that lovely stretch all the way down the right side body. And back up to center, and we're going to take it over to the other side. So right palm comes to the floor beside you, left hand goes up overhead, and we're just going to really relax into that right elbow, stretch the left fingertips up and over, relax the head. And on each side, just try as hard as you can to keep the sit bones down on the floor. That'll really give you the best chance of feeling that stretch all the way up the side body. And back up to center. Just reposition ourselves here, and then we're going to fold forwards. So just very gently using the arms and the hands to help us move forward, bowing the head, and just as far as feels comfortable for you. There's no right or wrong place to be here. And in this fold, you should really feel that stretch across the left hip, the left glute, intensifying. And just walk the hands back to bring ourselves back up to an upright position. And we're going to change the legs around and repeat that on the other side. So take our left leg now down to the floor in front of us and bring the right leg on top. So again, we're looking for the right knee just sitting on top of the left ankle and the right ankle just sitting on top of the left knee. And again, let's just take a moment to just get ourselves settled into this version on this side. Use your blocks if you'd like to. You will absolutely find as well that both sides will not be the same. You will find that you will be lifting maybe one of the knees on a different side will be lifting a little more than it did the first side. So just be patient with your body and just let it be whatever it will be today. And you'll just start to feel that sensation coming into both hips and probably just a little bit more intensity on the right this time. So just get used to this sensation. Just using the breath. And let's come into our side stretches. So this time we'll start on the right. So we'll take the right hand out to the side, stretch the left arm up and over. And again, you can relax into that right elbow if it feels right to do so. Big stretch over the side. Head can relax, keeping the sit bones grounded. And back up to center, and we'll take it over to the other side. Left palm to the floor, right fingertips up and over. Head relaxed, feel that lovely stretch across the right side body. and back up to the top. And we'll come into our fold again. So just take a second just to check that you're happy with where your legs are, and then we'll just begin to lightly drape forwards. Bowing the head, relaxing everything down. Feeling that stretch intensify in the right glute, the right hip. And start to just walk our way gently back to a seated position. So we've had our legs in this pose for a little while now, so before we move on to the next pose, we're just going to give them a little bit of time in a windshield wiper motion. So just plant the feet in front of you, bending in the knees, and just gently windshield wiper them from side to side. So our next pose is going to be a variation on dragonfly pose. So bring your legs out into a straddle kind of position. So you want to have your legs facing out away from each other. Knees and toes mainly pointed towards the ceiling, but we're not going to put too much activity into the feet here because we want this to be quite nice and passive in terms of a stretch. So just settle yourself into this position first and foremost. So in this position, what we really want to be doing is not tilting too far forwards initially, and also not kind of leaning too far back. So try and sit up nice and tall in this position before we get started. And just find the version of this that works perfectly for you. And it might be that you don't go on to do some of the folds that we'll do next. This might be absolutely ample for you, and it might give you just that lovely stretch that you're looking for. And this pose can really assist with longer term flexibility as well. For those of you who are keen to do some folds, we're going to come across to the left side first. So just want you to turn your gaze over to the left foot and just start to drape yourself over the left leg. And again, this is a passive fold, so we're not pulling on the foot. We're not trying to get any further down than is natural for us just right now. So you might find that you're sitting quite far up. You might be a little bit further here, but just go to wherever your body feels right. And just relax into it. A really nice pose this for the legs. Working into the hamstrings, but also we're still getting a little bit of the benefit of that lovely side body stretch as well. And just coming back up gently to our dragonfly legs. And just take a moment, kind of reconfigure ourselves here in the center, and then we'll move over to the right side. So again, just turning over to the right leg and starting to drape forward over the knee. Coming as far as feels comfortable for you and feels right for you. The legs can be pretty relaxed here too. We're not trying to bring too much energy or activity to them here. Just sinking in. And as before, just gently easing our way back up to a seated position. And the final fold we're going to do here is to come forward. So again, see if this feels good for you. If not, you can stay in this seated position, or you can make use of any props that you have. So if you want to use a block for the forehead, if you want to use a bolster to come forward onto, anything that works for you would be fine. So I'm just going to go forward, I think, today without the props. So again, gently just work your way forward to wherever feels right for you. So you might be down here on the forearms, you might be a little bit higher, you might be able to come all the way down with the forehead on the floor, just whatever feels right for you. Sometimes it can be nice to just clasp the hands, to have something for the forehead to rest on as well. Whatever you need today, whatever your body needs. And just raising the head, coming back into a seated position. So if you just bring your legs now just into a cross-legged position, anything that feels comfortable and works for you, pretty much back to where we started the practice. I'm just going to come into a couple of seated twists here. So we're going to turn across to the left to begin with. So we're going to bring the right palm and just hook the palm just to the outside of the right knee and turn with the left hand acting as a bit of a kickstand behind you, just keeping the chest up nice and tall, turning to the left, looking over the left shoulder, turning the whole torso rather than just turning the neck. And coming back to center, and we'll come across to the other side. So left hand this time, back of the palm goes to the knee, right hand goes behind and twist to the right side. And back to center. So just gently come down onto your back. We're going to come into one of my favourite poses now, which is banana pose. And this is a really nice one to end on, I think, for a practice where we've done quite a little bit around the side body and doing some side stretches. So this is a really lovely way to continue that into the final part of the practice. So with your feet planted onto the floor, you're going to lift the hips and bring them across to the right hand side of the mat. The legs go across to the left, and then the body also comes across to the left. So you're creating this banana shape. And then just to intensify a little bit more, you can take the right foot over the left foot just to give that a little bit more emphasis on the side body stretch. So just work out what feels good for you. Trying to keep both sit bones down on the floor, and you can raise the hands and clasp the elbows above you. So head and torso are coming over to the left, as are the legs, and the hip area is staying over to the right. And you should just feel that really lovely stretch all the way down the right side body. Eyes and face facing up to the ceiling. Close down the eyes and just relax here. I find this such a soothing pose. It can be quite difficult not to drop off, but you'll just have enough of that sensation to keep you there. Gently unclasp the arms, bringing the torso back to center. Uncross the legs if you had them crossed and bring them across to center as well. And just take a second just to recenter the hips on the mat as well. And we'll come over to the other side. So we'll take the feet back to the mat, push into the feet and lift the hips and drop them over to the left of the mat this time, bringing the legs over to the right, ensuring that the sit bones are both down on the floor, bringing the torso, the head and the arms over to the right as well. And again, you can clasp the arms above you, wrap the left foot over the right just to intensify that side body stretch on the left. And just relax into it. This is such a nice way to really stretch into the full side body. We don't always have a huge amount of poses that can do this. And I think if you're doing a lot of other activity, you maybe don't always realize how much tension can be built up into this area until you come into a pose like this. And then it just feels wonderful. So enjoy. Release the hands again, bringing the torso back to center, bringing the legs over to center. We're going to come into Shavasana now, so just find the right space for yourself on your mat. Recenter yourself. Legs can just fall away. Hands come down to the sides, palms facing up. Just letting the effects of that practice just settle over you. And thank you so much for joining me for this gentle flexibility practice. I hope it's been enjoyable and beneficial for you, and I hope to see you again on the mat again really soon. Thank you.